Okay, this next video from RapidMain, very, very popular DBD streamer. This video in specific is talking about how Blight became the most unbalanced killer, which we were going through the suffering today with that, because almost every other game we had today was Blight, all using those really, really, really strong add-ons and playing, you know, like Behavior had their family hostage, playing very, very intense and sweaty, because that's just how the community for this character is. Yeah, very, very, Blight, I feel like in theory is a fun character to face, but his add-ons make him very frustrating, and the community behind him playing so relentlessly sweaty makes him frustrating. Which, coupled with the fact that he's almost always in the top 5 most played killers in the game consistently, like that's a recipe for a lot of unfun matches on the survivor side. Very much so, especially on the add-on part of things. Yeah, I don't think we've ever watched RapidMain's. I've watched RapidMain on my own, on my own free time before in the past, but I don't think we ever watched them on the channel before. So especially when we're having a brand new person that we're reacting to, please make sure you click that link in the description below, or for you guys currently in chat that I just posted, to like and subscribe to the person, because this content is provided by someone else. So we want to make sure that we support the official release of the video, and they get that love and support either way. So you should not be approaching 4 years with 0 nerfs. True. Very true. Very true. Very true. They don't want to touch Blight for whatever reason, and it's kind of gross. They give him a small add-on rework, but like they end up making some of his add-ons better. It's just really gross, and leaving his mostly bad ones that needed to be adjusted like as they were, as if they were fine. It's questionable. It's questionable. I don't know what they're doing, but yeah, let's go see what RapidMain has to say about it.
Dead by Daylight's most problematic killer has caused quite a stir lately. Of course, I'm speaking about Blight, who's recently been in contention due to several reasons. Firstly,
Rapid also plays a lot of Billy.
The reason was that while Billy's best add-ons, the Doom and Death engravings, were nerfed substantially, while Blight's add-ons remained completely unchanged. Yeah, a killer who was already extremely difficult to master was receiving...
Yeah, that's the thing that always gets me. He's C tier best. He has one of the highest skill caps in the game for killer, one of the most difficult to learn characters in the game. And what's your payoff? What's your payoff for spending all this time learning all the complicated stuff about Billy, curving, feathering, 360 saws, S-curve saws, like learning all this crazy stupid stuff? What do you get for that? You're a C tier. Congratulations. You can play Nemesis or Pinhead with like 0 brain power and probably do better. Congratulations. You can probably erase with a bunch of slowdown and have better consistency. Good job. Like, the payoff is you don't get any. Yep, the payoff is you don't get any payoff. But hey, let's nerf him even further. Let's nerf him even further. Nerf him even further.
A nerf out of nowhere, but Blight, who is easily the second most powerful killer in the game, with a large amount of strong add-ons, was unaffected. The community's theory is that somewhere in an Excel sheet, most Billy mains would consistently run double engravings, therefore making Behavior believe they were overperforming. And this would line up with Blight, as many of his add-ons are really good. Therefore, their usage and performance rate would be more evenly spread statistically. Secondly, a prominent Blight main known as Momo7th was able to achieve an 1,000 win streak.
I already made a video about this.
This is no hate to Momo. They're an incredible player, and their main goal was to highlight the lack of skill in the player base, in their own words.
I'm going to say something specifically to that point. If you play the second most powerful character in the game, you run a bunch of slowdown, and you run the best add-ons, you better be winning. When resources are the strongest thing in Dead by Daylight, over experience, over, you know, all the stuff that Odds had in his pyramid, when that is the most powerful thing, and you bring the best resources, right? Like let's go back. Like, if you bring in Eruption, Pop, Pain Res, Agi with double speed on the second best character in the game, yeah, no shit, you should probably be winning most of your f***ing matches. Like, I feel like that's almost like no offense to the contrary, I feel it's almost like kind of snide. Like, of course the average player is not bringing this level of intensity. Of course they're not. Of course they're not. Most people aren't even like the implication of like, oh, well, most of the community isn't skillful. Most people aren't playing to be skillful. You just saw me and Tess just like throw matches, just being idiots for fun. That's like how we play. Like I would be a bad player according to this guy, because like when I play with her, it's a different, you know, it's a different environment. It's different. It's for memes and for hilarity. It's not to win. Winning is nice and a good caveat, but like it's mostly just to be stupid and laugh. And a lot of people play that way with their friends. They really do. So I don't like this blanket statement that like, oh, the community just sucks in general. It's like, do they suck, or are they not prepared for their surprise comp match? Do they suck, or are they just not? Did they not understand the assignment that apparently they're just got to be any point ready for a surprise comp match? You know? Not to mention 70% of players are console and half those players are... Yeah, exactly. Like, a lot of people just play this game as a casual game in the background. They don't go hard at it. It's just... You're totally right in that. Also, hope you're doing well today, Justin. Good to see you. But yeah, you're totally right in that. It's like I said in that, I said in the odds video, and then I said in the kill streak video where I talked about this initially. It's like you should be winning with this much stuff, and a lot of it is the resources. It's not. It's like it's Blight's base kit, it's the add-ons. Not to take away from the player. It's Blight's base kit, the add-ons, and the perk build that you brought. A lot of that carries a lot of weight, and people don't have the expectation that they need to be also bringing that same level of intensity match to match. Because some people think the game's casual, some people think the game's sweaty. You're just highlighting, you're not highlighting that people suck at the game, you're highlighting that how much of the people don't sweat at the game. That's all you're proving. You're proving that how many people don't actually go hard at this game, not that they actually can't, that they physically can't. You're just surprising them a lot of the time. So, yeah.
In their own words. Of course, Momo's post did cause somewhat of a discussion on Twitter regarding the state of win streaks in Dead by Daylight and how they are affecting game balance. So I reached out to Momo and asked him about the streak, and this is what he said.
Obviously, I was sweating my balls off, right? I had like 3 slowdowns, agitation, double speed, so I had really strong perks, and I played in a very effective way, which was just basically trying to tunnel someone out as soon as possible. The entire goal was just to kind of prove a point how strong a killer like Blight specifically can be, because Blight, I feel, takes a lot of mechanical skill and a lot of effort, but once you get...
I disagree. I hate this. Okay, can he? Yes. Does he? No. Let's describe this in a way that is effective and makes sense, because I want to digest that, because I'm obviously disagreeing. He has a pretty all right skill ceiling, a fairly high skill ceiling, but a very, very low skill floor. And that's what a lot of Blight players will lie to you about. And I will be on the front lines telling you that Blight has a low skill floor. He does have a high skill ceiling. He can do a lot, but he has a very low skill floor as well. And that's the part Blight players don't want to tell you, because they want to seem like they're cool Giga Chads who are playing a hard character and they're just saucing all over the survivors. Their skill floor for this character is actually extremely low, and nobody wants to tell you that, because they want to continue to seem cool. They want to continue to seem like they're playing a super powerful killer that's really hard to pull off. They want to cosplay as a Billy and get the results. They want to cosplay as a Billy main and get the results that Billy doesn't get. Realistically, your skill floor is actually pretty low with Blight. Pretty low with Blight. You can be carried by his add-ons, and you just maybe 10 minutes of looking into bump logic. You could hug tech hug teching is easy. That thing that everybody's like, wow, hug techs are like crazy. Hug teching is super easy. It takes you like 2 minutes to figure it out. So no, Blight has a very low skill floor. He may have a high skill ceiling where there's a lot of cool stuff you can do, but he actually has a really low skill floor. I think he has more in common with Wesker than he does somebody like Billy. Wesker has a lot of cool and crazy techs you can do. But realistically, you can just infect people when it's convenient and then just tunnel them out, because they, every time they spray have killer instinct, and play him like a normal M1 killer besides an M2 here and there. He's more comparable to Wesker than he is to somebody like Billy. That's my assessment. But yeah, he has actually I hate the Blight players say this. He actually has a pretty low skill floor.
Get that down, his chase is honestly just insane. That's what separates the S tier killers from the lower tier killers, how fast they can get downs and how fast they can effectively tunnel. So honestly, he just does everything going for him, and with a couple slowdowns, it's pretty hard to lose, to be honest.
I think it goes without saying that 1,000 wins in a row should not be possible. Don't get me wrong, Blight takes a lot of skill to master, but his kit overall makes him a very problematic killer. And to fully understand why, we need to look at all of the changes made to him over the years. Blight was first introduced into Dead by Daylight on September 8th, 2020 as a part of the Descend Beyond chapter. Despite his fantastic art design and interesting power, he was hilariously underpowered. As many DBD veterans remember, his hitbox was terrible upon release, making any
And he was short. I love Short Blight. Short Blight was hilarious. I love Short Blight. Little midget Blight. I love him to death. I loved him. I'm so sad they fixed the camera angle. It was so cute. It was so endearing.
Bounce off of tiny edges and sometimes thin air. It also did not help that his camera POV was much lower to the ground.
I love Tiny Blight. It was funny.
Model, making him look really short. Of course, the community was not very pleased with this initial release, but behavior did listen and slowly began to patch in.
Okay, like mechanically from a perspective of like gameplay, it's bad. Okay, it's good at pallets because when you break pallets, your face is right there so you can see which way they run after you break a pallet, which is nice. But in every other scenario, there would be like the hay bale loops on like Coldwind, you couldn't see what was happening. Even some of like the auto haven loops, you'd be like, I can't see over this truck. So like mechanically it was bad for you, besides, you know, when you were kicking a pallet. But it was funny, it was cute.
Fixed Blight. In patch 4.2.0, behavior fixed a variety of bugs and added a secondary collision detector to make hitboxes more consistent. They also increased Blight's initial dash speed from 6.9 to 9.2 meters per second. In patch 4.2.2, Blight became able to break pallets and walls during a lethal rush without the use of an add-on, similar to Demogorgon's change in patch 3.2.1. In patch 4.4.0, Blight's Adrenaline Vial add-on was buffed to regenerate rush tokens much faster, although the turn radius debuff that came along with the add-on made it not very worth it to run. The Soul Chemical add-on also received a new function in which a tremendously difficult skill check would trigger for a survivor once you enter a 16-meter tear radius of them during a rush. In patch 4.6.0, behavior reworked Blight's collision again, making his power even more consistent and finally raised his camera's first-person point of view.
No, we lost our short king!
Behavior limited the max turn rate per frame for those with very high sensitivity input, essentially removing J-flicking as an option. This was a very
so stupid. Watch this.
Tech for BLIGHT'S, as some
okay, so like I get that it was cool and it required skill TM, but like, what is a player supposed to do in this situation? You're a casual survivor, just like looping completely normally. How are you? What can you do to react to that? Like, there's so little. There's so little in the way of counterplay to that. So little. And that's just silly.
So good. Could get 180 hits with the killer not even facing them. In patch 5.3.0, Blight's add-on Adrenaline Vial was reworked yet again to increase rush token recharge bonus from 0.75 seconds to 1 second, as well as increasing rushing speed by 10%. His add-on Summoning Stone was also increased in pallet blocking range to 16 seconds from 12 seconds, and pallet blocking duration to 15 seconds from 6. This was an attempt to create an alternate playstyle than the usual bump logic when Blights just run straight lines to down survivors. By increasing token recharge and speed, more novelty playstyles would be in play. Adrenaline Vial was given yet another buff in patch 5.5.0, where the turn rate penalty was decreased to negative 0.5 degrees per second from the original negative 0.8 degrees per second. The most recent change to Blight came in patch 6.7.0, where Blight's collision on trees on the Red Forest maps were fixed. And that's it. Shockingly, most of his add-ons remain unaffected, despite him being consistently buffed over time. It's easy to see these changes quickly made Blight an S-tier killer, and there's nothing wrong with having strong characters. Killer is meant to be the power rule after all. However,
he said the thing. There's kids every. Right? like feeding time at like a gorilla exhibit at like a zoo. Like they come out with like sometimes they have like cabbage or fruit or stuff, and all the monkeys are like. Like they get all excited. Like he said the thing. Killer's like, with the power rule. Like he said the thing. The monkeys are clapping. Sorry. That's how I imagine it. Just like made their brain happy. Made small peanut brain happy.
Are some of the most imbalanced in the game and desperately need a change. Alchemist Ring, for example, gives Blight the ability to instantly recharge all of his tokens after landing a successful lethal rush attack. That's the equivalent of Nurse regaining all her blinks after landing a blink attack.
It's really strong.
Very,
it's still the way it is.
Very powerful. Behavior also made good strides last year in rebalancing and reworking many perks and unfun aspects of Dead by Daylight. Hit and run killers were buffed, and most significantly, killer was made a lot easier. Base kit cooldown reductions applied to hitting survivors, and many slowdown perks becoming the meta. Killer was made a lot easier. Yet, Blight was not re-examined after these changes, and no attempts were made to proportionally nerf him or his add-ons.
Nope.
Now, while significant changes were made to Blight's collision,
which, by the way, I brought this up in a video that isn't out yet, but it will be by the time you watch this on YouTube. Like, that's the reason that the whole like built-in Mori Unbreakable system didn't work, because killers like Nurse and Blight, who are already exceptionally strong and really good at slugging out a whole team, got even stronger because they got rewarded for that by insta-ending the match. Whereas killers like Myers, Clown, Wraith, who kind of rely on slugging people time to time because their base kits are a little bit weaker, they get punished because those people just get right back up. So really, you just rewarded people like Blight while punishing people like Myers, which is why that system didn't come to fruition.
It was still inconsistent on certain surfaces. Blight will often slide on a surface instead of bumping, and it can be very frustrating. Till players figured out how to utilize this sliding to their advantage. Thus, the birth of the hug tech. For those who don't know, the hug tech can be pulled off by standing close to a wall or object, looking down, rushing, and
which, by the way, he'll probably say this, but they came out and said on the forums, Behavior themselves said that they consider hug teching an exploit, and they will probably take it out soon. It hasn't happened yet, but they said they'll take that out. Or they plan to, rather. So, don't be surprised if one of these patches drops and hug teching's gone, because they have officially said they're against it.
Surface to catch survivors off guard. A common example is
Okay.
catching someone at Killer Shack window by sliding from the door all the way around the walls to hit them once they vault. Behavior has said that they are planning on patching the hug tech to accomplish that. They have to fix the environmental hitboxes, which is probably not going to happen anytime soon, as the initial post was made last year. After considering all of this, the question that remains is, what should be done? The focus should primarily be on his add-ons. While many of his add-ons give a lot of value, the most problematic ones in question are Adrenaline Vial, Alchemist Ring, Iridescent Blight Tag, and Compound 33. Adrenaline Vial should have its changes reverted, or at the very least toned down. For example, the increased rush movement speed could be removed so that their main appeal is that tokens regenerate faster, or they could also reduce the amount of tokens that comes with Adrenaline Vial from 7 to 6 or something like that. Alchemist Ring should remove the ability to refill all tokens upon a successful lethal rush attack. Instead, it could add 2 tokens upon a successful attack, or increase the token regeneration rate for a small amount of time. Iridescent Blight Tag should no longer have the exposed effect, and rather should put survivors in the ment state upon the last lethal rush attack. Lastly, Compound 33 should be
Can make it Legion-esque? That's interesting.
As it has way too many things going for it. Being able to hinder survivors by simply slamming into a wall nearby and
so
instantly
dumb.
break pallets
It's
by
so
rushing
dumb.
is too much in my opinion. I suggest either splitting both of these abilities into separate add-ons and toning them down, or remove Compound 33 entirely. There is an argument to be made regarding his speed add-ons, Blighted Rat and Blighted Crow, in which both increase the rush movement speed for each consecutive rush.
I think like one of these by themselves, I never look like if somebody's running like Blighted Crow and then something else, or Blighted Rat and then something else, I don't really notice. It's them together that I think it just erases counterplay, or gets very close to doing it. I think it's both. I think it's both that kind of gets egregious. You care about speed, period? Really? I don't know if I don't care about speed, period. I think it's when it's both that I notice that, like, some situations I just have no option to do literally anything. Pre-dropping as a counter node? If you can make it to a pallet. If you can make it to a pallet, yeah. But if you don't have access to a pallet, let's say if you're like a window or something, like, you just lose. Yeah, that's if you have access to a pallet, so that's entirely map-based.
And I think if they were to be toned down, I'd completely understand why. However, Blight should have some good add-ons, and I do not think these are as terribly unbalanced like the other ones I listed prior. Now, regarding his base kit power, while I don't believe it should be changed, they should fix his collisions on most maps, but I don't think they should remove the ability to
in general, not only for Blight, but for like Billy, for like ranged killers like Huntress, Slinger, they should just do a pass on collision in the game. Collision in the game has been sloppy and sloppy for a really long time. Collision, collision. There's fat shames everywhere still. There's objects that have collision, like physical collision that you hit like 2 or 3 feet out from the physical object. Like they need to just go back and overhaul that, because it's been crap for a long time and they have not like gone back and looked at it, and it affects a lot of killers very negatively. So I feel like they should just go back and touch up the collision a bit so they can make like the lives easier. Not even just for killers, but like even on Survivor, like you'll be trying to like hug like a lot of the new shacks. A lot of the new shacks will be trying to hug, and they just have like junk around them that has really large hitboxes. There was not yesterday. I think it was Friday. I was looping Garden of Joy's shack, and there's just a tire that's set up against the side of the shack that I bumped into and couldn't get around like very efficiently, and I went down for it. Because that tire, instead of just hugging the wall all the way down, I had to go over and around this tire that theoretically is so close to the wall, I shouldn't really feel it. But, like, it had collision all the way out. So I got down for it. And it's just like, stuff like that just shouldn't be a thing.
Tech, as it is simply another strategy that experienced BLIGHT'S employ. Plus, shakes up the game a little bit. These are just my suggestions.
I can hug tech. I play Blythe like once or twice a month, and I can hug tech consistently. It is easy. No, hug teching is not an experienced play, and anybody who tells you that is lying to you. Lying to you. Anybody who tells you hug teching is difficult or an experienced Blight thing is lying to you. That is not true. Hug teching is super easy. Super easy. Bump into the object, get close, hug it as close as possible, look down, and then slide. It's so easy. It's so easy a caveman can do it. You know why people think it's hard? Because they try to hug tech on anything. Hug teching works best on objects that are like as smooth as possible or relatively smooth. But like they'll try to do it on like the hay bales on like Coldwind, and they'll be like, "Oh my god, I'm bumping into all the hay and all the junk around the hay," and it's like, well, yeah, because there's just a lot of jagged collision everywhere. Of course you're gonna bop into something. Do it on something smooth, forehead. Very easy. Very easy.
Suggestions, and my opinion is definitely not the final word on this subject. I do have over 4,000 lethal rush hits with Blight, but there are definitely a lot more people with way more experience with this character than I do. So I've asked my buddy Lilith Omen, another cracked Blight main, what his thoughts and suggestions were on how to change Blight.
So it's tricky because, I mean, ultimately the majority of the game's balance happens around not the top 0.1%, right? Like the average player is not getting 1,000 wins in a row. At the same time, it does highlight a problem because no one should ever really be getting 1,000 wins. I mean, the biggest one is the add-on changes. I really, really like the concept of Blight's add-ons because unlike many of the killers in the games, it's not just like a stat change. It's not just, you know, kind of adding mangled or hemorrhage. Like it's changing the fundamental way that you play him. I think part of the problem is that Blight is so strong basically on his own that kind of adding those add-ons in addition to what he's already capable of is kind of brutal. Compound 33 is probably the most busted add-on in the game, in my opinion. It breaks pallets quicker than Billy or Bubba does. You can regenerate tokens quicker than you're actually in fatigue for if you're on Adrenaline Vial in combination, which is often the problem. So I would maybe suggest making it into more of a low pro, so similar to Billy. So instead of having it break the pallet and then cause Blight to fatigue, he runs through the pallet. But the interesting part here is that the rush would become a non-lethal rush after he goes through it. In reference to Alkring, I think Alkring is the biggest one that most people mention. I think what'd be more interesting is if Blight started with a penalty to regeneration. So instead of taking 10 seconds for 5 rushes, it's now 12.5. But every time you hit a lethal rush, you are now taking that timer down. So it will go from 12.5 to 10, 7, 5, 2, and then ultimately 0, which is going to feel the same as the current Alkring. The main difference being is similar to Stabiffle, but way more brutal.
Yeah, like Stabiffle for his power.
Rush, but you don't hit someone.
But you start with the debuff.
All of those stacks.
The
Adrenaline Ball change, I would suggest to just be really simple. I don't think it should give you a speed increase, to be honest. I don't see why running double speed is slower than running Adrenaline Ball speed. Doesn't make sense to me. As far as base kit changes, it's hard to say, right? So like I've seen a lot of people suggest the idea of Blight becoming a 110 killer, and I'm not against the concept of it. Fundamentally, if the power doesn't work because it's out of your control, it's a map problem, I don't think it's fair to really make him 110. If they were to fix the collision issues, I think 110 Blight would be fine, honestly.
I agree with basically like most.
I think it's mostly the add-ons. Like his base kit is fine. You can have him be as strong as he is. You can't. It's just that he's egregiously strong in combination with his add-ons. I think it's mostly just the add-ons that I'm mostly worried about. I would adjust add-ons first and then see where he's at. Like take away all his broken shit and then see where he's at, and then be like, okay, well, now he's fine, or if he's not, you know. do
Because
more.
again, like my opinion is not gonna be exactly like yours. Plus, also, like, I don't play Blight as much. I checked the stats, and I have, like, 4,300 lethal rush hits, but I imagine you probably have, like, what, over 20k?
I've got 156,000.
156,000.
Oh my god.
That is ridiculous. What do you think? These are just my opinions, and in no way the only way to rebalance Blight. So, let me know in the comments below what you would change about Blight, or if you agree with any of my takes. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.
Yeah, so like I said, I would what I would do is I would do an initial like add-on pass. I would do an initial add-on pass where I take out all the overpowered stupid add-ons. Just take them all out, right? Chop them up, put them on the cutting room floor, and then at that point we can look and see, like, because I think Blight's base kit is mostly fine, right? Because if you really think about it, like, even the more annoying stuff, like a lot of people like hug teching, like people that they say is a bug is gonna and they want to take out. Like, is hug teching really the problem, or the fact that if he's running like double speed, he just zooms around the shack so fast that you can't really do anything? Like, I feel like most problems with Blight really do boil down to his add-ons. And if they could just like adjust that first, just give him an add-on pass. Don't even touch his base kit. Just give him an add-on pass first. And see if things are okay. See if he's like, is he all right now? Trickster buff rework. Yeah. Trickster needs something else. Trickster, I've already made a video about that, but like Trickster is just fundamentally just like a non-functional character in my opinion. he's not even a jack of all trades. He just kind of sucks at everything he does. But he's also not fun to face either. So like he's not fun to face, but he's also bad at everything he does. So it's just like, oh, okay, all right. But yeah, with Blight, I would try to see if like base kit Blight is fine and good for the game, which I think like you do Nurse. Nurse doesn't have range recharge anymore, which is good. So she's been a little bit more nice. Tackle Blight's busted add-ons. Call it a day. Spirit is mostly in a good spot besides stuff like Mother-Daughter Ring, which you can adjust as well. And then we're in a pretty good spot for our top three. Our top three characters that have like always been menaces for as long as we've known and played this game. You take out their busted add-ons and suddenly they're a lot more manageable. Like, you saw the Nurse play rate drop so drastically when she had her range recharge gone. And I feel like you'll see a lot of Blight players also drop playing Blight when they can't just cheese with Compound 33 and stuff like that anymore. And it will be better for the health of the game. So I think that just should be our step one. And then after that, we delve into step two, right? Right? I think that would be in our best interest. Yeah, I think base kit Blight might be fine. Are they baffled why they refuse to touch Blights? I don't know either. I don't know what they're getting out of that. I don't know what the unforeseen consequence of touching Blight's add-ons are in their eyes. Like Rapid pointed out, it's probably a stat thing that they're just like, well, we just don't see it, so therefore it's not happening. But yeah, it's something. Yeah, hopefully they do. Hopefully they do, because, you know, at this point, it's starting, just like with Nurse, Blight is starting to bottleneck balance. Like I mentioned, Blight was one of the reasons that we couldn't really go through with the base kit Mori Unbreakable thing, because he was one of those characters that could just slug people really quickly, especially with Eerie Tag, another one of the add-ons that were mentioned. Add-on problem. And just end the game instantly. Stupid. So he's actually stopping good things from coming to the game because of his existence, just like Nurse does, which means we need to bring him in line with the other killers. That way we can actually balance the game instead of having to worry about, oh, well, what about Blight? You know? So it's our responsibility to do it. Our behavior's responsibility. We just get to tell you, hey, please touch this character, please. But yeah.